is the Let's Connect with Leslie O'Hare podcast. Your host, Leslie O'Hare, dating and conflict resolution coach, TV personality, TEDx speaker, and author, created this podcast to ignite a spark of excitement that will immediately educate, motivate, empower, and inspire you to live your best life. Let's Connect is more than a talk show. It's a conversation show. Let's have a conversation. Here's Leslie.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Connect with Leslie O'Hare. I am so excited to be here with you today, as I am every single Friday. And thank you so much for joining us. And I want to start, as I often do, explaining why this podcast was so essential for me to be able to bring it to you. I wanted to utilize my platform as a TV host, TEDx speaker, and dating coach to be able to start a show that would open conversations, various conversations, whether we are talking about politics and news, whether we're talking about health and well-being, whether we're just talking about life. I think now in the society that we live in, we are a disconnected community, a disconnected society where we're not having conversations because we're dealing with so much. We're dealing with the pandemic. We're dealing with so many other personal issues in our home and just in life in general. And if I can give you 30 to 40 minutes of my time every Friday to open conversations to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to live your best life, then I am definitely doing exactly what I'm meant to do here on this earth. And with that being said, I have an amazing guest on the show today. Her name is Trish Shallenberger. She's the founder and CEO of A Soldier's Hands. And we'll go into a little bit after the commercial break and tell you a little bit more about A Soldier's Hands. And you'll get an opportunity to meet Trish as well. She's sitting in my green room waiting to come on live with you. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in a moment.
Did you know that how you are perceived by others is a direct reflection of how you present yourself to the world? The brainchild of stylist Bobby Schwartz, Be Iconic Style is the online resource for all women looking to up their style game. From learning how to address the challenge of daily dressing and building your essential wardrobe, to learning how to build your power wardrobe and dressing for success, Be Iconic Style is the only website you'll ever need. We even do the shopping for you. Looking for a one-on-one consultation with Bobby? We do that too. Visit us online at beiconicstyle.com. Be confident, be empowered, be iconic.
We're back, and I have Miss Trish Shallenberger with me. Hi, Trish.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here today and to talk about your story. You're just amazing, first of all. So let me start right there. And with Trish and being the founder and CEO of A Soldier's Hands, she and her nonprofit, they really care about our deployed military. They integrate youth organizations as well as volunteer support and fundraising. And with that being said, with this amazing organization, I think that oftentimes we have a gift, we have a talent, but we don't move forward with that gift and talent. And Trish definitely has, as well as her team. And she's been recognized a lot throughout our various military armed forces and branches. And the 131st Cavalry Team Vandal recognized her efforts with their Minuteman Statue Award. She has also spoken to various financial services, youth organizations, and schools. So she is a very busy woman. And one of the things I want to share before I get into the questions with you, Trish, I want to set up a little bit of the story for the sake of time so everyone really understands your heart and really understands your goal behind A Soldier's Hands. Trish was traveling from Dallas to Philadelphia in 2007. And the weather was bad, and she had to change her seat on her flight. And then the day of the flight, there was like a 3-hour delay. And so she got on the flight, and there was one middle row. In the middle row, there was one seat left. And I call it the miracle seat. And it's the miracle seat because what Trish did not know is that she was going to be sitting front and center next to a 19-year-old soldier. And during this conversation, Trish is talking to him, and he really reminds her of Ron Howard, the actor. He had red hair, 19-year-old, very young. And she has this conversation with him, and he shares with her that he's a Christian. And he shares with her that he's on his way to Iraq. And she happens to look at his hands during this conversation, and she began to realize that the top of his hands were really sunburned badly. And then the palm of his hands had these really severe whelps that she knew had to have been really painful for him. And so she offers her sunscreen, and he takes it. And then he shares with her that he really wasn't afraid of going to Iraq to die. He was more afraid of the sunburn, because being sunburned in Iraq, because he never got used to the sun in Dallas. Well, then Trish, with her giving heart, hears his story. And this is when I talk about having conversations. Conversations are very important, because we never understand how we can be a help or change someone's life through a conversation. So she didn't just talk to him, but she really listened to what he was saying. And she offered her sunscreen to send to him throughout the duration of his tour in Iraq. And then he declined. And so I can only imagine the shock that she might have felt during that time, like, why? But he went on to share with her that he declined the sunscreen throughout the duration of his tour, because if every man and woman, every soldier in his unit could not receive a care packet, could not receive mail, then he would feel uncomfortable being the only one in his unit receiving something. So Trish says to him, well, how many people in your unit? And he says 177. She made a commitment to this young man that she would send a care package with sunscreen to 177 soldiers. Now, keep in mind, Trish didn't have an organization at the time. She didn't have a team at the time. She was one woman standing alone, making a commitment because she saw a need, saw a problem that she knew that she was going to solve. So Trish, I want you to tell my audience, what was it? Because we're 14 years later now, and you're still doing this. You and your team have distributed about 15,000 individual packages to soldiers around the globe. What was it about this young man and his story, and looking at the pain in his hands and obviously on his face, that sparked you to put into action, let me go home and get this going and stick to my promise that I made to this young man? What was it about him?
So Leslie, thank you you set it up beautifully. Thank you for sharing the story.
You're welcome.
You know what? I wasn't thinking anything, honestly. I couldn't get over the fact that there was an empty seat on this overbooked flight. So one, why is the seat empty? Two, this young man could have been my son. And when he said, I can't accept something if not everyone is going to get something, I thought of our children at the time. They were 1, 4, 7, and 9. And I thought, what if Santa Claus came and they brought 2 gifts for our 4 children? How would I distribute that? And so instead of thinking, I just immediately said, well, I'll just take care of your whole unit. How many's in your unit? And then the cat was out of the bag, so to speak. And so I thought, well, I've made a commitment and there is no going back on that. And so I just had to make it come true. But I had no idea how that was going to happen.
And that leads into my next question for you. Was there ever a moment that you said to yourself after you got off that flight and went back home and went, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to make this happen? 177. And you didn't have a team at that point. So was there a time that you said to yourself, how am I going to do this and keep this commitment?
I had no idea how, but I had faith that if I didn't quit, it would come to pass. So I told everybody I knew, I said, I have made this commitment to this young man, and you got to help me keep my promise. You have got to help me keep my promise. Now, my husband said, you can no longer fly alone. Because I'm not so sure what's going to because I'm not so sure what's going to happen.
Exactly.
I had faith that it would be okay. But I'll tell you, Leslie, he shared with me, because I keep in contact with Mark. Mark shared with me years later. He said, I told my buddies, that I met this lady on an airplane and she's going to send us care packages. And
Wow.
what do you think they did? They laughed at him and they said, "You're right."
Of course, yeah.
Right. No one that you don't know is going to send you care packages. And so I really have learned that you just don't make a commitment unless you're willing to do whatever it takes to see it through.
And I always say, if you say you're going to do something, do it. And I know you made a joke about your husband just now that he says you're not going to fly again, but I can tell you what, I think that was very impactful. I want to step aside and go into my dating coaching mode for a second, because it shows in relationships commitment. So what you still showed your husband, and you may not even have ever thought of this, I'm sure that he's looked at you many days and looked at you as such a committed woman, not only to other people, but to him as his wife. And so I think when we say we're going to do something, commitment is huge in every area of our life. And we have to take that very serious. So I just wanted to just elaborate a little bit more on that. But I want to go back to the people in your community. When you went to them and said, this is what happened on the flight, this is the commitment that you as an individual made, and now I want you to come on board and work with me. How did you get them to feel your passion and also to really take you serious? Because I can only imagine coming back and sharing that story and then saying to your friends in your community, we have 177 care packages that we need to get out. I need your help. How did you get them to buy into that? Because that was your dream, not theirs.
You're right. I just asked. I asked, and I started with those people that were closest to me that really couldn't say no. You know, we all have that tribe. And then I asked them to go out beyond that. I couldn't not fulfill this promise. And so they felt that desire, they felt that passion, they felt that commitment, and they wanted to succeed. They wanted it to succeed as much as I did.
And that's wonderful. And I tell you, you talked about having a tribe. I think in life, we have to have a tribe of people that truly, genuinely support us, because we can't do anything by ourselves. And when we see that there's a need as large as this task that you took on, I think it says a lot about your character for your family, your friends, and your community to come on board, to be able to ensure that you stuck to your word to this soldier. And it also shows the pureness and genuineness of their heart to come on board and say, you know what? We can do this. And so having a positive tribe and networking is essential in every area of our life, and in order to be successful, that is. And so can you tell us a little bit about, or show us, I don't know if you have a care packet there with you.
Sure.
What's in the care packet?
So can you see that? Isn't it fun?
It's so fun. Yeah. Very festive. And it speaks joy.
It does. And so I am really persnickety. It has to have a curling ribbon, because then they know that we have gone that extra step, right? When you get a package that's curled, you think they went that extra step. So what's inside is we partner with two companies, O'Keeffe's, which is part of Gorilla Glue, and then Badger Balm. Both are American companies. The product is made in America. So this is a healthy feet. It's an SPF, although we're having trouble finding SPF because of all the supply issues. A lip balm, a hand balm, and then we also include a star. So can you see that?
I
can. This star, and then it has a note, and I'll read it to you. Okay. So it says, I'm part of American flag. I've flown over a home in the USA, but I can no longer fly. The sun and wind have caused me to come tattered and torn. Please carry me as a reminder that you're not forgotten. And so every care package has this in it, and we get letters back that say, you know, I keep it in my pocket. It's small enough. I keep it in my pocket. I keep it in my helmet. It's a way, so nice. It's a tangible way to say, you know what, you're not forgotten. We remember you. Yeah. We remember you.
And that we love you and we appreciate you.
Yes.
And I talk a lot about it should be every person on this earth. It should be our mission to leave a positive imprint on the life of everyone that we come in contact with. And that's exactly what you are doing, you, your team, and your organization. And I can only imagine that when the soldiers receive this beautiful care package. And you can tell that it was put together with such care. It wasn't thrown together. You really took the time to make certain that it was packaged in such a way that when they see it on the onset, it brightens their spirit. And when they open it, it even lets them know even more how much love and care, because our soldiers, they sacrifice so much for our freedom. And to be able to take the time to make certain that not one soldier is left behind from receiving a package in the mail, I think is huge, because you're not only making a difference with their well-being with their hands, you're also making a difference. And I don't know if you've thought about this, well-being from a mental standpoint, because that's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. They're away from their families. They don't know what the next day can bring sometimes when they're serving for our country. And so to be able to receive something like that has to do something to them mentally, to say, I'm not forgotten, I'm loved, and there are people and an organization and a team and a tribe in the U.S. across the globe that really cares about us. What has been some of the feedback that you've received from the soldiers after receiving a package?
It's amazing, and it fills my heart to keep going. We get letters from the soldiers. We get letters from the platoon leaders that say, thank you for taking care of my entire unit. Just the one gesture to know that there is a gift for every single person increases the morale, right? It automatically increases the morale. Then we get letters from people. We started, like you illustrated, with our tribe of people that we know. Now we don't know half of what's going on that comes into our mailbox, and they thank us for giving them an opportunity to serve, whether they're writing notes, they're making a donation. I remember a gentleman that said he served in Vietnam, and he said, I only wished you were around then, because they certainly got a different they weren't treated like this.
Right.
And so he wasn't bitter, but he was very grateful that we were here to be able to serve those that are serving now. So we get all kinds of letters, and they're just appreciated. They're appreciative for not being forgotten.
Yeah.
And so the mental part is just as important as the physical part. For sure.
Really is.
And the mental part then helps the physical part to allow them to do the physical part.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that. Absolutely.
We're thinking alike.
Great minds.
That's it.
What would you say to someone that's watching the show right now and they see a need that needs to be met or a problem that needs to be solved, but they're a little bit on the fence of having that courage that you've had to start this great organization? What would you say to them? And they're a little bit on the fence about how and whether they should start an organization or a business to fulfill the need that they already know in their heart that's been shown to them, but they haven't really stepped out on faith as you have. What would you say to them?
So you don't have to know all the answers. Mm-hmm. You don't have to know the end of the story to get going. Surround yourself with people that know what you don't know. I'm the communication person. I'm the people person, but logistics, some of the technology, I don't know that stuff, and I don't really want to know that stuff. So surround yourself with people that know that part, and just have faith that that if you don't quit, you will figure it out. And you may fail forward in the process of getting to where you want to go. I still don't have all the answers. Yeah. Steve Jobs made a quote that said, if you look at looking forward to your future, it doesn't make sense. But if you look back and you look at those dots and you try to connect those dots, you can see how it's all led to your future. So I understand now why that middle seat was empty and how that had to be the very first thing that happened to get this ball going.
And that's so true. I talked last week about failing forward because I do think we're going to fail. We all do. But the thing is failing forward means that you're going to get right back up. You're going to persevere through. You're not going to give in. You're not going to give up. And even though you're going to have those hard knocks, if you just keep having faith, and for me, having faith in God and knowing that God would not give you the desires of your heart if he did not already have a plan on fulfilling it. Just like for you, the plan was already there for you to come back to your community, and knowing that your tribe would help you bring this great organization to fruition. And so I think that just right there, out of that question and out of what the conversation we're having right now, if we can encourage anyone that's on the fence about their business, about their life, even about their marriage, whatever it is for you, fail forward, continue to get up, continue to move forward into your rightful destiny. Because, any successful person, Steve Jobs, and any successful person, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, the list goes on. I can only imagine if we sat down and had a conversation with them, they would tell us how many times that they failed over and over again. But I can promise you, they're so glad that they never gave up. We're going to take a quick commercial break. I'm going to come back with Trish in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Johnny Rodriguez, the owner of Johnny Rodriguez Salon, and I love partnering up with Leslie O'Hara and taking care of our clients. Our main focus is to take care of women and their hair needs, along with their beauty needs. We want to make sure that we get to know you from the inside out. We work with your lifestyle, not just your hairstyle, but your facial structure. We'll teach you how to do your hair, make sure you're confident in how to duplicate that look, and just to make sure that you feel as good on the inside as you do on the outside. So can't wait to work with you, can't wait to come see you, book a consultation or an appointment at either location in Dallas or Plano, and we look forward to seeing you.
I am back with Trish Shallenberger, the CEO and founder of A Soldier's Hands. Trish, I want to get into your mail call. You have this phenomenal goal. I'm excited about it. I know you're excited about it. So I have to talk about it with my audience. And you have a commitment to mail 50,000 personal handwritten letters and to our soldiers that are deployed in Germany, as well as mailing 1,000 retired flags. So far, you and your team and volunteers have written 10,000 letters, which is amazing. So you have 40,000 more to go. And I'm hoping that through the show, we'll get those volunteers so we can help you meet that goal. And, I think that a lot of people don't realize that more than 50% of deployed service members never receive a single mail at all. That's a very high number, Trish.
It is.
It's very, very high. Can you explain to everyone what is a mail call, and also talk to us a little bit more about this goal that you have of getting 50,000 letters? Like I said, 10,000 have already been written. Talk to us about that as well.
So that's the thing, is that not everyone has someone at home that has their back. And I really have found that hard to believe, because I would take care of my own, but not everyone has that. And so when we learned that there are 50,000 Americans serving in Germany, we thought we have to do something. And so although I didn't have the guts, so if you will, to say we will send care packages, because that's about $1 million commitment. And I'm not quite there yet, but that's not to say I won't be. But I thought, you know what? We can all write a handwritten letter. We can all take a few minutes, speak from our heart, and share with them and thank them for their service. And so that's when we came up with the idea with Mail Call for All, sending 50,000 letters, and then in each letter to send a star in the care package, in the letter rather. And so we're working with different clubs, different communities, different schools to try to get the letters.
So what would you say would be the top 3 reasons why someone should get involved with A Soldier's Hands, from a monetary standpoint, by donating, also by giving of their time to assist with writing the 40,000 letters that are left to write to help you achieve this holiday goal? What are the top 3 reasons why someone should get involved with A Soldier's Hands?
So first, when you support A Soldier's Hands, you are supporting the soldiers. I do not take a salary. I have a VA that works 8 hours a week, and everything else goes towards supporting our nonprofit. So your money is going where you want it to go. That's the first point. The second point would be we get so many letters that thank us for the opportunity to have something like this where they can get involved. And I think when we serve, when we do something that's outside of ourselves, that we're doing it for somebody else, we benefit as much or sometimes even more than the one that's receiving. And you know what? Everything takes money. That's the bottom line. Yes. So even though writing a letter, doing the star part, it's not, it doesn't cost a lot of money. It is going to cost a fortune to ship this over to Germany. And so even just making a donation to help us ship this would be great, would be terrific. And we would be very grateful for.
And also, what can our military leaders, politicians, and various communities do to help throughout the globe in assisting you by identifying and working through the logistics of getting care packages to many more military units across the globe and ensuring that you're able to continue this wonderful mission and goal that your organization is doing? What can they do?
So I know that, we could take our gifts and take them to a base, and then they would ship them. The problem with that is there's no tracking. We can't track it to make sure that it gets where it's going to get. And so when someone gives us money or someone gives us of our time, I have to make sure that it gets there. So, and it has to go through the United States Postal Service because it has to go through customs because it's leaving our country. Right. So then you don't have competition, right? If FedEx and UPS and the Postal Service could all get involved with that, then we would have competition and then the price perhaps could go down. Right. So shipping has become actually a very big percentage of what our budget is to get stuff to them. So that would be one aspect of it. Another part would be clear communication on where and I know part of this is just security reasons, but where are our people? How many are there? And how can we get that address and serve them? So how we currently get that is by conversations like you and I are having.
Right.
Someone's going to see this show and say, well, you know what? My nephew is deployed. Can you send them a care package? And I'm going to say, yes, please reach out to us and I will get you in the queue. So it's kind of been a domino that falls. The first one being that empty seat, and then a domino, which brings us to today. Right. And then someone's going to hear this, and then that will become our unit. If we had the bigger picture of that, and I think we can only get that through the higher ups. Right. That would be amazing, because we know that people say, well, no one's deployed because people have pulled out of Afghanistan. That's just because so much attention has gone there. Right. We have many Americans that are deployed.
We really do.
And that are falling through the cracks.
Exactly. Absolutely. And listening to you and taking the time we're just meeting for the first time and getting to know you, hearing your story even more with the personal conversation today. I always ask my guests, what is their I got it moment? And I got it moment is a time where you had a life lesson before it might not have stuck with you, but now you have this grand I got it moment. It's a life lesson that will stick with you forever, and it's life changing. What would that be for you?
Don't ever say you're going to do something and not follow through.
That's a big one.
So Mark sent an email on Thanksgiving Day 2007, and he said, I want you to know that today is the best day. He said, I got to be Santa Claus and pass out care packages, and I knew there would be one for every single member. He said, they didn't believe me, and they laughed at me. They are no longer laughing.
Isn't that something?
And so he believed me.
Yeah.
He hung onto my words.
Right.
Our children believe me.
Right.
My husband believed me. My community believed me. You cannot say you're going to do something, even something really small. We just don't say anything.
Just don't say anything.
That-
Just don't say anything. Exactly.
Right. So that is my biggest lesson. So I'm very cautious when I commit to something.
That's
I think I'm not as impulsive as I was that day.
I think that's awesome because, you know, when you say something and you should stick to it, because why would you want to disappoint someone? You know, it's not a great thing to disappoint anyone, whether it's a child or an adult. We all want someone to keep their promises in our life. And it doesn't always happen. And when it does, like you said, for Mark, I'm sure that just brought so much joy to him. And it also let the soldiers in his unit know, hey, believe. Don't doubt everyone, believe, because dreams do
Yes.
come true.
Yes.
What is the takeaway that you would want my audience to walk away from today after hearing your story and learning more about A Soldier's Hands? What takeaway do you want them to walk away with?
You know, there aren't any accidents. There aren't any coincidences. If you have faith, and I do, and you do, you believe that God is in control and there's lots of things happening. And so that seat was not empty that seat was empty for a reason. And to trust the coincidence and have the faith and just take the step. So I have been said to me that I take a step without that firm rock being put there, but by the time the foot actually gets there, it's solid. But you have to have the faith to take the step. Just take the next step, and you don't have to have the full picture,
Don't have to have
because
all the answers.
you do not have to have the answers, and it's going to change anyway. If you
Yes.
think you know what the answer is, it's not going to be that anyway.
Exactly.
Yes,
That is true.
but have the faith, and at the end of the day, you know what? I spent so many hours doing this, and I thought, what if I hadn't changed my seat?
Mm,
Or what if Mark said, thanks for the sunscreen?
yeah,
That'd be great. That would have been the end of the conversation.
that would have been it. Yeah. But
But
God had a different plan. Yeah.
Well, and he thought about his military family
Right.
rather than his own personal need.
Which says a lot about his character and his life.
Absolutely.
A lot,
Yes.
you know. And what is your legacy? You're a mother of 4 and you're an entrepreneur, and I want to call you a trailblazer because you are. What is your legacy?
I hope that our kids, one, get involved and do something that has nothing to do with them, that they continue to serve, because I feel that this is a mission. This is, we are serving those that serve us. And so I hope, on my tombstone, if you will, that it says that she served and she loved.
And she loved and she cared. Yeah, absolutely. Trish, this has been a very enlightening interview. You're such a empowering, motivational person. And I really thank you for the interview. I really hope that our audience will be able to volunteer and give of their time, give from a monetary standpoint, and spread the word through their community as well, because I want to see you achieve the goal of getting those 50,000 letters to our military men and women in Germany during this holiday season, especially at a time we've been dealing with the pandemic. We've been dealing with so much in life. And if this small gesture, which is really a big gesture, smile on their face during this holiday season when they're not with their family, I encourage my audience to get their family and their friends involved and to log on to your website at asoldiershands.org and see how they can support and to learn more about your organization. And this has just been a wonderful time. Thank you so much for the courage. Thank you for the strength. Thank you for having faith, and thank you for not giving up. And thank you for keeping your commitment to Mark, that 19-year-old soldier, in 2007. And several years later, 14 years later, you're still keeping your commitment and your promise. And you continue to do that. And I encourage you to do that. And again, just thank you for making certain that one letter, one care package goes to a soldier one soldier at a time. And so thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Leslie. I really appreciate the opportunity.
You are so welcome. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and I'll be right back with Love Talks. And that's where you get to ask me questions about your dating and relationship. It's going to be fun. Don't go anywhere. Come right back in a second after this commercial break. We'll be right back in a moment. We're back, and I'm going to go into a segment called Love Talks. And Love Talks is really questions that you all ask me to answer live on air. And some of you live chat with me as well. And so we're going to go into Love Talks. So we're back. I have a question from Tori from Chicago, and Tori wants me to answer. She says, "Dear Leslie, I haven't been on a date in about 5 years. Can you please tell me what questions should I ask my date to help me to get to know him better?" This is a really good question because oftentimes when we date, we really don't know what questions to ask a person. And a lot of times as women, and men, we're a little bit intimidated to ask the important questions. And I'm going to give you 5 really quick ones. One of the ones I would ask is, who are the special people in your life? And when you ask someone this particular question, you're really getting to know from them who has made the biggest impact in their life, who has shaped their life. And so that's one question. Another one I would ask is, what's something that you are proud of? And when you ask this question of your date, it's really allowing you the opportunity to see what they truly value. And I think, and what have they worked hard for? So that's a very key question. One of the next ones I would ask is, what are your personal and professional goals? Because this lets you know whether this person is looking to start a business. Are they looking to be promoted in their company? Are they looking to go back to school for a degree or another degree? It really lets you know this person's goals and aspirations and where do they see themselves in the future. And I think that's very important in dating. You should be with someone that has aspirations and goals personally and professionally. And it also gives you a little insight in how much they would value the relationship as well. The other question I would ask is, what sort of relationships are you interested in? This is very key because a lot of times when you're dating, you want to ask this very straight up and be very forward with this question, because you want to know whether the date that you have that's sitting in front of you, the young man, whether or not he's looking for just a casual hookup, or is he looking for someone that can really be marriageable material? And that's something you want to know, because if you're not looking to be someone's casual hookup and you're looking for a relationship, you're looking for a long-term relationship and commitment and possibly marriage, then you want to make certain you know this up front and that he's open and honest with that question. The last question I think is important to ask. There's so many, I can do a whole show on this and probably will, but the last question is, when was your last relationship and how did that relationship end? The reason you want to ask this question is because you really want to find out from your date, do they point blame to the other person, or do they take responsibility for some of the things that they might have done to cause the relationship to break up as well? And then you want to ask, it also lets you know, how do they handle conflict? So if you're in a situation with them and there's conflict, getting them to open up with this conversation, because people will talk and questions are important. Let your date talk, let them answer the questions so that you can really delve deeply to know if this is someone that you should go on a second date and waste your time with. Because if you shouldn't, it's time to move on to someone else. Life is really to be enjoyed. Life is really about spending time with the people who make you happy, give you peace. And although there are going to be conflict, there are going to be times with conflict, but it's all about how you deal with it and asking these important questions up front and allowing your date to answer those questions. It will make a big difference in your dating. I hope I help you with those questions. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back in a moment. That's our show for today. And I wanted to conclude with the art of manifestation. I think it's very important that whatever you want out of life, that you start living it today and start being everything that you want to be. The life that you want, the dating relationship that you want, the company that you want, start being it today. And I always talk about being your 100% authentic self. Be your 100% authentic self in every single thing that you do. Continue to push forward, continue to move forward into your rightful destiny. I look forward to seeing you here again next Friday, 3 p.m. Central Time. I want to thank my amazing guests, Trish Shallenberger, the CEO and founder of A Soldier Hands. And I just want to thank her so much for her generosity of being here today and for being her 100% authentic self. Have a great weekend. Don't forget to follow me on social media, like me on Facebook, send me a friend request on Facebook, and also I will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.